Hello everybody, it's Towellie. This video is for everybody who played the beta and those who didn't as well. The beta had two different modes, multiplayer and missions. Missions was where you play against the computer. You could just play by yourself, or you could invite a friend and play co-op, split screen even. And looks like in the final version there's going to be 4 missions map where you play against the computer. The highly anticipated Endor is one of them. But on this beta version you only had Tatooine. So I'll show me with nobody else on missions later. Let's start with the multiplayer mode. There's 2 maps that you could play in the beta. Drop Zone and Walker Assault. Looks like there's going to be 5 other modes that Star Wars Battlefront 3 Final Edition will have. And let's start with Walker Assault on Hoth. It's a huge map. It's got 20 people on each side. And I'll show the overview here of the map. I'm going to be using the DLT-19, which is a longer range weapon. This is a very open map with a lot of sniping and long activity. So as Rebels, I'm going to change from the thermal detonator to the ion grenade. This is much more dangerous to the ATSTs. As Rebels, you want to take over the uplink stations. There's 2 of them at a time, and you take them over, and it enables the Y-wing bomber to bomb the walkers, which drops the shields. The walkers have shields, so the only time you can actually damage an AT-AT is when the shield is down, which makes it really hard for the Rebels to win. The second place winner in my tips and tricks contest, Blaze Knight Flame 101, recommended in the comment left in my previous video to use the jump pack to make use of high ground. This is an important strategy both on this map as well as on Drop Zone. Almost all the players who get a really good kill to death ratio use a jump pack to access high ground. There was a lot of people up on top of the huge mountain in the center, or hiding behind rocks at high ground, sniping people. And although I hate that kind of gameplay, it makes me not want to play those maps or play that way myself. I have to admit, it's a very solid strategy. So here I am with the layout for the Empire. I have the cycler rifle, which is a long range sniper, and I have a regular thermal detonator just to kill infantry with. I'm using YouTuber Nevy's tip here to aim high with the cycler rifle because there's a slight bullet drop. Just showing some action from the Walker map as Empire. And thanks to everybody who sent in tips. I'm not going to be showing many tips for any of the vehicles because it's pretty self-explanatory. If anyone gets in front of your Walker or ATST, you don't need my help to just mow them down. With the planes, you can lock onto enemy planes by holding down a button, LB on the Xbox One, but you'd probably have more success damaging enemy planes by firing your machine gun type weapon in front of them, leading your bullets into them. You can get some height and dive attack the AT-ATs when their shields are down. If you want to quit being in a plane, you can hold down a button, and when the white circle completes in the center of the screen, you immediately warp back into being a soldier on the ground. And here I pick up the Orbital Strike power-up, which is huge. One of the only ways the Rebels can win is by using the Orbital Strike on the walkers when their shield is down. And thanks to Steel Clutch 29 for this tip. He was the first one to get it to me. This is probably the biggest tip you need to know because it allows you to possibly win this map as Rebels. It's the only way I think you can really win is to get an orbital strike on a walker like I'm about to show right here. When those red circles are around the walker or above the walkers, it means that they're vulnerable, their shield is down. I'm targeting it with these blue stripes around the walker. I release the orbital strike. You can see little lines coming down from the sky, and I get 595 points for blowing up the walker. That is the biggest, baddest tip for the beta altogether. This is a shield, which is another power-up someone put down. In order to play as the hero or get in the vehicle, you have to find a corresponding perk pickup. The pickups appear as ghostly round blue symbols. Here's a tip from PS4 gamertag Early Bird that earned him 3rd place in my tip contest. He shows how you can, as Empire, position yourself in a turret in Rebel territory and spawn kill a bunch of people. Not my style personally, but maybe something that needs to be nerfed in the final version of the game, and certainly something that one can exploit if it's not fixed.
Explosion. Number 2.
In his second tip, he shows that it's possible to get onto the rafters inside the rebel hangar, which would give you a big advantage in infantry combat.
Right now, but it could still have potential if the stormtroopers are invading the base. Goodbye now. I hope you had as much fun watching this as I had making it.
So here's the different items that you can stock in your hand. You can only use them on a map if you stock them in your hand. There's the thermal detonator, the cycler rifle, which is like a long range rifle. Here's the personal shield, and you have to buy credits for $500 to stock the shield. Here's the jump pack, which is useful for gaining high ground, escaping quickly, and traveling across the map. Here's the sharpshooter trait. There's only one trait for the beta, so you might as well equip the one trait offered for it. Drop Zone has 8 players on each faction side and features closer combat. The object is to claim and defend pod drop sites. I usually use the jump pack to fly towards the drop sites. There I just got a power up for my shield. You have to get those power ups unless you spend $500 before the map to get some charged power ups. You can move around and use a personal shield while capturing a pod. Also, you can play this game in third-person mode. I kept forgetting to do that. I played the first day without even knowing you could do that. You have to press down on the D-pad, and the camera just falls backwards from your guy, and you can see around. It's actually the better way to play. You get a little more peripheral vision. You get a slight competitive advantage that way. And on PC, you would press the C button to go into third-person mode. Another good tip, especially for Drop Zone, is to use the D817 pistol. It's a fast-firing, close-range weapon that works well on this map, and thanks to PS4 gamer MelvisDude for that tip. Used the jetpack effectively to get up onto structure overlooking the base. Once the pod has been tagged by your team, you simply have to prevent the other team from getting to it. So overlooking the pod and sniping off people heading to the pod is a great way to help your team win. For longer engagements, I suggest that you use the DLT-19 like shown on Walker Assault. You should fire your weapon in short bursts for increased accuracy and to prevent it from overheating. Your thermal detonators regenerate quickly, so don't hesitate to use them often. Incidentally, when you die, you can respawn 2 ways. By pressing X, you just respawn way back at the edge of the map. But if you press Y, you do a partner respawn. You spawn right next to your partner. So if he's in heavy combat, you could spawn and get killed right away. But on the other hand, it gets you right into the action. Getting these power-ups, you can only have one at a time, so after I get this thermal detonator, I use it right away, kill this guy, and then I sweep right back and get another one, because your enemies can pick up those power-ups as well, so you might as well grab them for your team. So here's the single-player mode, or non-multiplayer mode. The problem with this mode on the demo was that you could only play it on normal difficulty, which was too easy. It consists of just 6 waves, with each wave supposedly being more difficult than the previous wave. A tip I'm showing right here is to get the ATST so it's below the edge of the cliff, so it can't shoot you, but you can shoot it. And here I'm picking up the power-ups, laying down a vehicle turret, and then picking up another one. Why not? I have an orbital strike, but I'm going to save it for a later ATST. This one's almost dead. I want to thank my British friend, Jamie Leatherbarrow, for writing in to tell me that an effective strategy for blowing up the ATST is to use your personal shield together with the ion launcher. Once you have used this, use your shield and wait for your launcher to cool down. There's also these secret collectibles that you can acquire on this map. There's 5 of them. Honestly, I don't know what they do, even if you get all 5, so if you know, leave a comment. But it's pretty easy. Like I said, the main problem with this mode is that you couldn't change the difficulty. You could only play on normal, which was far too easy. I mean, these guys just dropped to the ground. Heroes bore the heck out of me, so I don't show them on this video. Overall, I really enjoyed the beta, and I look forward to the release of the final version on November 17th. The graphics are great, and it's not that complicated after all. Looks like we're all going to get a fun shooter soon. Take care, my friends.